Darwin Sujiman Bieng, your freelance newsreader. Top story number 1. Charity Seal. In October 2023, the Straits Times report that at least 5 of the accused involved in 3 billion money laundering case has allegedly donated money to various charitable organizations and social service agencies in the past 3 years. These include at least 52,000 to special education school operator Rainbow Center and at least 15,000 to National Kidney Foundation. Some of the charities ring-fenced the money, while others lodged police report and plan to surrender the cash to the police. A new panel offering screening and consultancy service will help charities better protect themselves from being misused for money laundering and terrorist financing. It will also provide consultancy service that can help charities to identify and assess risk areas in their operation and funding sources and help draft procedure to mitigate them. Developed by the Charity Council together with professional service firm KPMG, it is expected to benefit more than 2,300 charities. While we have our own internal framework for conflict management within the organization, having this resource would be very helpful for external conflict like when we engage vendors that do not deliver, she said. Top story number 2. CPF top up. Singaporeans are beefing up their retirement nest egg with voluntary top up to CPF account hit more than $3 billion in the first 8 months of the year. The increase in voluntary contribution to CPF in the 8 months to August 31 come as survey commissioned by Ministry of Manpower indicate greater awareness of retirement planning among Singaporeans. Findings indicate that Singapore residents generally have good money management habits, with 90% saving actively, and almost 90% pay their bill on time. About 80% kept track of their daily spending, and 70% had set aside at least 3 months of expense for emergency needs. Jeremy Huang, a director at Ministry of Manpower Financial Planning Program Department, said Ministry will continue to work with CPF board to help Singaporeans make well-informed financial decisions and prepare for retirement. Top story number 3. J.D. Vance and Tim Walz in Washington. After a disagreeable presidential debate during which Vice President Kamala Harris and former President Donald Trump traded insults, viewers probably expected more of the same at the clash of their running mates. They were in for a surprise. The trivial and substantive exchange between the top two men. Vance was an effective debater. Walz came across as likable. Both accomplished what they sought to do, he said. Chiefly, their goal was to defend their boss. Ms. Harris provides steady leadership needed in crisis, he said, and cited Trump's disgruntled former cabinet colleague who has said he cannot be trusted as commander-in-chief. Mr. Vance countered calmly that US had not been involved in wars since the Trump administration because he's understood how to create effective deterrence by projecting peace through strength. Mr. Jesse Manisto, director of debates for the Braver Angels, said the candidates come close to epitomizing the volunteer-led movement mission to understand people who think differently as a way of creating sense of shared community across political divides. The debate by itself is hardly going to alter the course of tight election where just a couple of points in opinion polls separate the two parties. Top story number 4. Indonesia Cyber Force. Indonesia is strengthening its digital defense by establishing a new cyber force, Angkatan Cyber, which will become the fourth branch of the military alongside with Army, Navy, and Air Force. The decision to establish a new unit comes in response to a series of high-profile cyber attacks. Indonesia's vulnerability to cybersecurity threats is arguably one of the highest in the region, said Mr. Edbert. The establishment of the cyber force is expected to consume a substantial amount of military budget, which could potentially hamper modernization of other military branches. Deputy Speaker of the House for Representatives Ludwig Frederick Paulus said that without adequate funding, cyber force will consist only of human resources without technology to support them. Security issues must be managed by those with detailed knowledge of policy design. Otherwise, incompetence can lead to misattribution problems and overemphasis on external threat rather than addressing the root cause, he said. Top story number 5. Hong Kong is China. The Hong Kong government has launched a TV advertisement featuring a new patriotic song called Our Home, doubling down on its effort to promote national education in the city. A dedicated team was set up by the government in April to lead Hong Kong efforts to improve its people's sense of national belonging and knowledge of China's history, culture, and current affairs. Is behind some of the city's patriotic education initiative. However, it will be a long-term effort to nurture a sense of belonging to the motherland among Hong Kong people. Many of them still find compulsory singing of the national anthem at local school a foreign concept. While national education is normal and necessary in any country, the notion has for decades marked by ambiguity in Hong Kong due to its unique historical legacy. Hong Kong is a former British colony that was handed back to China in 1997 under one country, two system framework that promised the city high degree of autonomy and freedoms not typically enjoyed elsewhere in China. Top story number 6. Shigeru Ishiba. Japan's newly minted Prime Minister Shigeru Ishiba, once a gadfly described as opposition even within the ruling Liberal Democratic Party (LDP) for his criticism of the late former Prime Minister Shinzo Abe, promised to mend fences across faction lines after bruising party leadership contests. But also observers say his pick for cabinet and party leadership position exposed his weakness within the party. In this regard, Mr. Ishiba appointed Mr. Seiichiro Murakami in the key position of Internal Affairs and Communication Minister is telling. The 72-year-old 12th-term lawmaker once criticized Mr. Abe for having a record fiscal health, the financial system, foreign diplomacy and bureaucratic structures, and even labeled him a traitor after he was assassinated. Scientist Koichi Nakano, while describing the cabinet as serious change of guard, noted, Ishiba is reliant on people who have long been marginalized or went through difficulties when Abe faction was so dominant. I'm not saying that the people chosen weren't the best fit for their position, he said, but it would have been better if they were chosen more broadly across faction lines. What this shows, experts say, is that Mr. Ishiba has few friends within the LDP, buoyed to victory by sheer circumstances and backroom wheeling and dealing to keep his staunch conservative rival Sanaya Takaichi out of power. All this has resulted in negative media coverage for a prime minister who is only 2 days on the job. Going forward, all eyes will be on his Ichiba policy speech on diet October 4, which is likely to serve an election speech given that it is the first time he will properly spell out his priorities as Prime Minister. Top story number 7. US Hurricane and Trump. Former President Donald Trump is using the destruction caused by Hurricane Helen to boost his presidential bid against Ms. Kamala Harris, political analysts said on October 1, after Republican candidates spread falsehood about the federal response during a visit to a storm-hit city. Falsely stated that Democratic President Joe Biden had been unresponsive to the hurricane's destruction. Trump said he brought trucks of loads of things to Georgia, including oil, water, equipment, and that he partnered evangelical Christian leader Franklin Graham Relief Organization to deliver them. Analysts said it was abnormal for a presidential candidate who is not in office to visit a disaster area. Natural disasters, especially hurricanes, have shaped US politics in recent years and could alter the course of the race in 2024 as well, said Mr. Stuart Rothenberg, a non-partisan political analyst. Republican pollster Whit Ayres said that disaster can be make or break events for office holder, but not necessarily for candidate. Candidates have no responsibility for handling major disaster. Professor Reeves' research has found that sitting president received a modest bump of 0.5 percentage point when they approved disaster act close to their re-election. Davin Sugiman Bieng sign off, your freelance news reader.